Good afternoon. In today's video, we'll discuss about normalizer. We'll see the question first of all, and then we'll come back to this normalizer. For example, I'm having a source table with 5 columns: student number, student name, M1, M2 and M3. And this table is consisting some data in this format. Totally 4 students data is there. Now this students data I want put into the target table. The target table structure is this is the target structure: student number, student name, max marks, average marks, minimum marks and total marks. So for each student we want to find out the maximum marks, average marks, minimum marks and total marks. Something like this. I'll delete the duplicate records. So I'm having target table. In this particular format. So it is not this table. I need to take it from another table. Select a star from digit_student 1. So this is the table data. So what are the records present in the source table? The same data we captured here. Like for example, if you take this last record 104 Jones. Under this record, what is the highest marks means 98. So that's what we got into this target table 104, maximum marks is 98. And what is the minimum marks means for 104 record, it is a 20. So that record value you got into here by specifying minimum marks is 20. And on average, what is an average of this particular Jones means it is 71 point something. And total marks is 215. Like this, for each student I want to find out what is the maximum marks, what is the minimum marks, average marks and total marks. How to do this? Usually we will say that we need to implement aggregator. With the help of aggregate transformation we can implement aggregate functions. But aggregator function basically work column wise. That means for the complete M1 it will apply vertically down, like maximum, minimum or sum, anything will be done only for that particular column. But here what we need row wise. In the 3 columns, I want to know what is a maximum value, minimum value, average value and sum value. Aggregator will not support this. So what we need to do is convert this data, that means each subject as a separate record. So 101, 104 Jones 20 as one record, 104 Jones 98 as a second record, 104 Jones 97 make as a third record. If you are able to do like that, then we can implement the aggregator function and we can calculate all these required values. So how do you transform this data? Means for that purpose we will be using normalizer. So what is use of it? Means it is a transformation object. Use it to, it is a transformation object, belongs to active type. So what is use of it? It's used to split the record into set of records as per the type of value which is repeating. This is one type of definition, or in another way we can say it is used to transform each column value as separate row value. That means you are trying to move the data from column to a separate row. So for example, you are having something like this: student number, student name, maybe M1, M2, something like this. And the data is present in this 101. Name is Smith, marks is for example 40, 80, and for example it is 30. Now this data we are trying to transform into this way, like SNO, S name, simply we will say marks. M1, M2, M3 all are marks only, same type of value. So 101 Smith and it is 40. Same way for M2 and M3 also will get as in separate rows with the data called as in 80 and 30. We are trying to transform the data into this particular format. To do this, we will use a normalizer. But not only this, you are having so many other advantages, like it is used to repeat the same record for specified number of times. Like you want to make as a duplicate record, yes, we can do that. Maybe you want to read the data in the form of levels of data, like the data is in the form of levels. First level, second level, third level, like hierarchical form. So such type of values you want to read, yes, we can use it. That means like a person who is having a bank details, like first, like 3 accounts are there, belong to 3 different banks. So for all the 3 banks, I am having a bank name, card number. So indirectly, like 2 columns for each bank, that means totally 6 columns will be there. Now you want to move this into single field. Yes, for such type of things we will use the normalizer. So to show that, we will take a separate example, but at present we will take a simple example without levels of data. So we are trying to take the table structures in this format. and then finally the data should come into the target table in this way. So we'll design mapping for this. So we'll try to import the source structures and target structure. So we'll go with source analyzer, sources menu, import from database, connect it to the source system, connect, expand this user, select the table called as an src underscore student, then target designer, targets menu, import from database, connect to the target system, gets the metadata from this target table called as a tgt underscore student 1, then mapping designer, mappings menu, create, provide the mapping name, for example M1 or M underscore normalizer. Okay. Then drag the source object into the mapping like src underscore student. Once you got the student object into the mapping, now I thought that what are the M1, M2, M3 are in single row, but I want to make that as in separate rows. For that purpose, I'll use normalizer. Transformation menu, create, select normalizer, provide some name, for example NRM, click on create and done. Now what are the values present here? We'll try to take these ports. Usually whenever we place any transformation object, we'll drag the ports. But in this case, it is not possible to drag the ports. So when you're trying to drag and release that port onto this transformation, it is showing me error message in the bottom of the screen by saying cannot copy a column to this transformation. In the bottom of the screen, we got a message with a blue colored background by saying cannot copy a column to this transformation. So you cannot drag any ports into the normalizer directly. So but how do you get these ports means double click on the normalizer, double click on the normalizer, go to the normalizer tab, go to the normalizer tab, click on add new column. Here I am adding all the columns under the same hierarchy, but you can have different levels, first level, second level, like this you can have it, but at present I am creating under the same level. So what are the input fields you are having means strictly speaking only 3: student number, student name and marks. So I am adding those things here: student number, data type is a number type. Next, click on add new column and type the name as student name, data type is string. Add new column and say marks and data type is a number. Specify the data type as a number. And if you come to the ports tab, you can observe that SNO, SNAME, marks, SNO, SNAME will come as it is, but what are the names we gave here? These will behave like an output ports. For input purpose, it will create the ports with a different name. Different name means nothing but it will have some suffix like SNO underscore in, SNAME underscore in, marks underscore in. Like that we will get the input ports. But marks you are getting for 3 times. SNO and SNAME you are getting only one time, but marks you are getting 3 times. So you tell that occurrences. SNO I am saying as in one occurrence for each record. SNAME is also one occurrence for each record, but marks, totally 3 marks are there under each record. So we are giving occurrences as a 3. So if you go to the ports now, we will have SNO underscore in, SNAME underscore in, marks underscore in. But marks we have set that occurrences as a 3. So 3 times this marks port will repeat. Marks underscore in, marks underscore in, marks underscore in. But I cannot have more than one port on the same name. So we'll get the names like marks underscore in 1, marks underscore in 2, marks underscore in 3. So here you can observe that SNO underscore in, SNAME underscore in, marks underscore in 1, marks underscore in 2, marks underscore in 3. Along with that, what are the 3 names we have provided? They are behaving like SNO, SNAME, marks. And if you observe, the first 5 ports it's showing as an input ports, I is activated, and from 6, 7, 8, if you observe, their output ports are activated. Along with that, it is created 2 extra ports called as GK underscore marks, GC ID underscore marks. GK means generated key, GC ID means generated column identifier. So this will more helpful when you're working with the data which is having levels, like a main column, under that sub columns, something like that. For such type of things it will be more helpful, like what I told, bank related example. But in this example we are not using this 9th and 10th fields. Simply click on OK. So here in the normalizer, now if you observe, these are the ports what it is added. Now you map the ports from source qualifier to normalizer. Student number, student name, M1, M2 and M3. M1, M2, M3. After that, SNO, SNAME marks you are getting. So that means for each student we will get 3 records. M1 as a first record, M2 as a second record, M3 as a third record, something like that. Once I got this output, I want to perform aggregations on that particular output. So I am going with the transformation menu. Within this, select, that means go to the create, select aggregator, provide some name, for example AGR, click on create and done. Now drag this SNO to your aggregator, SNAME and marks. Now marks means it is a single column, but M1, M2, M3 whatever in source, that is written as a 3 rows here for each student. So double click on the aggregator, go to the ports tab and add that ports, what are the calculations you want to do based on that. So click on add new port. I'll say max marks, data type is a decimal, uncheck the input port because we need to perform the calculation. The function I am using as a max of marks. Same way I am adding one more port, avg underscore marks, data type is a decimal, uncheck the input port. You can write the formula here itself or click on this down arrow and write it in the expression editor, avg of marks. Click on validate, OK. OK button. So you got max and average marks. Similarly, we will try to add other ports also. Min underscore marks, data type is decimal, uncheck the input port and provide the expression. So click on this down arrow and write the formula. min underscore marks. Click on validate. Okay. Okay. So max marks, average marks, minimum marks. What is the next thing you need? Total marks. So we'll try to add a port even for that. Click on add new port. Total marks. Data type is a decimal. Uncheck the input port and write the expression. So what is an expression means? I am using a function called as in sum. I'll say sum of marks. Click on validate. Okay. Okay. Max marks, average marks, min marks and sum of marks. But this calculation has to be done for each student. Means what are the records you are getting from source? Totally for 101 Smith you will get 3 records. Only for that particular student you want to find out maximum marks, minimum marks, average marks, total marks. That means you should implement a group by for this particular record. So I'll choose group by for student number. After that click on OK. And what are the fields you got? Try to link it to your target. Now here we are returning marks also, but actually that is not required. So you can uncheck the output port of marks. So you are returning only student number, student name, max marks, average marks, minimum marks and total marks. So click on OK. Take the target table, tgt underscore student1 and map the fields. So student number, student name, max marks, average marks, minimum marks and total marks. Save this. Repository menu save. Mapping is ready. Now create a session and a workflow and execute it. So open the workflow manager. Workflows menu, create, provide the workflow name wf underscore normalizer. Okay. Drag, that is create a new session object here, like tasks menu, create, select the session, provide the session name, that is s underscore normalizer. Some name, click on create. It shows all the mappings which are available in the same folder. Select it. So we are creating a session object for the mapping called as m underscore normalizer. So I am selecting this. Click on OK. Click on done. So we got the normalizer. Now link your start to this normalizer. Tasks menu, create. Tasks menu, link task, link your start to normalizer session, save it and then execute it. But before going to execution, we need to tell the connectivity details. So double click on session object, go to the mapping tab, select the source qualifier and specify the connection. So its connection is RC source. Same way for target, teacher underscore student1, complete its relational property, and this connection is not RC underscore source, it is RC underscore target. So click on this down arrow, select RC underscore target, click on OK. Along with that, change the insert load type. By default, insert load type you rank bulk is there, and change it as normal. So this option is related to the performance related activity. Click on OK. Repository menu, save it and then execute it. So for time being, I'll remove the data from my target table. So I'll say truncate table tgt underscore student 1. Select star from tgt underscore student 1. Right now the table is empty. We'll execute the program. We'll execute the workflow. So I'll come to the workflow manager, workflows menu, start workflow. So it will open the workflow monitor to show the messages, whether it's success or a failure, log related information. So it is saying that s underscore normalizer is succeeded. That means session is succeeded and workflow is also succeeded. Now come to the database once and check the data. Select star from tgt underscore student 1 order by SNO is the data what you are having. So if you take 101 Smith record, highest is 92, lowest is 92. Because all marks are same, it's showing same thing. But when it comes to 102 record, highest value is 56, lowest value is 53, and 54 is in total marks is showing me something like 163, something like that. So like for each record, it is able to find out what is the maximum value, minimum value, average value. But how you are able to do means, first of all, what are the records present in that record, you are converted into set of records based on the marks with the same student number and student name. After that, we gave it to the aggregator to find out the result. So this process we are done with the help of a normalizer and combination with aggregator.